The day my first child was born was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. Instead, it marked the beginning of a slow descent into control and submission. My husband, Mark, a man I once believed to be my protector, forced me to quit my job. "Your place is at home," he said. "Our child needs you," I complied, not realizing I was handing over not just my independence, but my entire future. By the time our second child turned 2, the illusion of our happy family shattered. I discovered Mark's affair. The betrayal itself was painful, but what made it unbearable was his transformation into a cruel and abusive man. The verbal abuse turned into emotional torment, and soon, it escalated into physical violence. My children and I became prisoners in our own home. The breaking point came when he laid hands on our eldest. That was the moment I knew I had to act. I threw him out in 2012, my heart pounding with fear, yet filled with resolve. I thought the nightmare was over. I was wrong. With no job and no financial support, survival became a daily struggle. Mark refused to give me a single dime, sneering, "The courts haven't ordered me to give you a thing." He manipulated the bank, freezing my accounts, leaving me penniless. When I filed for default in our divorce, he assaulted me in a fit of rage, but I refused to back down. 6 months later, the court ordered him to pay child and spousal support $2,560 a month. He refused until the garnishment kicked in, leaving him $6,000 behind. I used this opportunity to get permission to move away. I remarried a year later, believing I had finally escaped his grasp, yet Mark's cruelty knew no bounds. He discovered my remarriage and realized he had unknowingly paid spousal support for a year. He demanded repayment, unwilling to let me breathe. I made him an offer. If he let me keep the $12,000 in spousal support, I wouldn't touch his $401k. He refused. The judge ordered me to repay him, but compensated by increasing child support. He ended up paying himself back, while I received an extra $20 a month. He backed down from his bid for full custody in exchange for 2 extra summer weeks. But I wasn't done. I pursued my rightful share of his retirement. Mark, stubborn as ever, fought tooth and nail to prevent it, dragging the case out for 4 years. His defiance led to sanctions, and he was ordered to pay me an additional $600 per month for a year. Contempt charges followed. Still, I pressed forward. Then, in January 2021, Mark proposed to his girlfriend. By May, I received the long-awaited disbursement from his $401k. I had anticipated a modest sum, around $12,000, the same amount I had once offered to leave untouched. But fate had other plans. The payout was nearly 4 times that amount. Mark had played his games, and he had lost. His fiancée, furious and desperate, reached out to me, her words dripping with venom. "You ruined everything. It's your fault he won't marry me. You stole his retirement," she raged. I calmly reminded her of the truth. I gave him a choice. He could have let me keep the spousal support, or he could take it back, and I'd claim my rightful share of his $401k. He chose greed, and greed cost him. "If he truly wants to marry you, get a prenup. That way, you won't have to worry about it." Her response was predictable. "I shouldn't have to sign a prenup. You robbed him?" I had never asked to be financially dependent on Mark. He had made it clear he wanted the court involved in supporting his own children, so I complied. I had attempted fairness, offering him the lesser loss. But he had refused. In the end, his own arrogance destroyed him. He fought against every reasonable settlement, every fair compromise, and ultimately, he paid the price. Justice had been served not by vengeance, but by the very system he tried to manipulate. And for the first time in years, I finally felt free.